Try this." Avery looked up from her work to see her big sister holding a to-go cup from Mama's Cafe. Zoe was, as usual, wearing a look on her face that indicated she was feeling harassed and likely had other places to be. She was dressed in formal attire, a pencil-cut gray skirt and wispy white blouse that was tucked in neatly at her trim waistline. Since it was hot outside, Zoe wore her hair in a messy chignon, which made her look both put together but also a tad chaotic. That's the metaphor. That's the one that describes Zoe perfectly. She's a polished sort of haphazard mess. Avery snickered at her own thoughts. The hour was probably just a shade after dinner time, based on the way the sun was racing toward the horizon. Since it was the 24th of August and she lived in Buenaventura Beach, Avery knew there was a little time remaining before daylight escaped her, so she shook her head, dismissing Zoe's offering. "Let me finish with this first." She nodded courteously at the couple who were seated on stools just inside her tent, squirming while she drew their caricatures. Avery had worked hard in her classroom all week long, and maybe could have foregone doing her sketches this evening, but she liked having this connection with people who visited town. Buenaventura Beach wasn't party central, and it wasn't exactly a sleepy little village either. But the people who vacationed here liked taking home Avery's hand-drawn portraits, and she was almost always eager to oblige them. "Come on," Zoe wheedled. "Chance is the one who sent me down here. He said you've been on the beach all day long, and he's worried that you didn't bring the proper provisions." Avery knocked the tip of her big toe against the cooler at her feet. "I'm always packing. Water, that is." She sent another smirk at the couple on the stools who were dressed in matching tropical print shirts. "Just take a sip," Zoe encouraged. "It's one of Mama's new recipes." She waggled the cup near Avery's face, creeping very close to the sheet of paper she was using to do her drawing. "She calls it a black cherry chiller, says it's perfect for the months of August and September." The lady, who was supposed to be holding still while Avery completed her work, wriggled on her seat, then asked in a high-pitched voice, "Why's that?" Avery sighed. "Leave it to Mama." This was a trick her mother often employed if business was moving slowly up at the cafe. When she and Zoe were kids, Lottie Baldwin would call them to the back door of the cafe and present them with heaping ice cream cones. Zoe always liked having a strawberry waffle cone, but Avery preferred chocolate or Rocky Road. With their treats dripping, Avery and Zoe walked up and down the beach, tempting travelers with those sticky sweets, letting them see exactly what they were missing while they were lounging on the hot sand or playing in the surf. Every time, presumably just as Mama intended, when folks caught sight of those mammoth ice creams, they abandoned their beach blankets, games of volleyballs, and sand pails so they could run up the beach and get a little something to help them cool off from Mama's Cafe. But now, Avery couldn't see her mother's angle. The black cherry chiller didn't look like anything special. There wasn't a massive dollop of whipped cream on top, or even a sprinkle of sugar. This was just a rather plain-looking takeaway cup. And yet... "Oh?" Zoe's eyes widened as if she were surprised by the question. "Do you like black cherry?" Avery snorted. She noticed the way her sister hadn't answered the woman outright. Instead, she'd used the sales technique of focusing on the client, making the whole thing seem more like a conversation rather than a pitch. "I love it," the lady said as she reached out and took her companion's hand. "We both do." "Naturally," Avery murmured under her breath. Zoe continued, fully ignoring her little sister. "If you like black cherry, you've got to try Mama's newest creation." The woman wrinkled her nose. "Does your Mama own the cafe at the top of the sand dunes, right off the boardwalk?" "That's the one," Zoe chirped. "We went there earlier in the week," the man said while beaming at his lady. "Had the best milkshakes of our lives.